once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the StarCraft 2 World Championship Series, Valencia, as we are making our way through the round of 16 today towards finding who our third circuit champion will be. I'm your host, Nathanius, joined on the desk by Tasteless and Todd, my favorite alliterative pair. Todd, how are you doing today?
Really?
How are you enjoying yourself?
That's what you're curious about? We're about to have this amazing game and you're wondering how I'm doing? I'm doing great, Nathanius, because we're about to have a rematch from Austin between HeroMarine and DnS, France against Germany. And it was a great Terran vs Protoss. He was a 3-0. I feel like today it might not be, and I'm hoping it might not be, but very technical, very interesting Terran vs Protoss between these two, in my opinion. Very different styles than what we see usually. We saw some Marines and tanks being used very effectively, for example, by HeroMarine throughout the series, the first time that they played, so I'm very excited for this one.
All right, now, Tasteless, the real question, why don't people nuke rush in TvP?
That's the real question we're going to find out here. No, look, I think it's going to be a great match. These two guys are two streamers. Sometimes they get a little bit salty. I think we've gotten some of the...
What streamer doesn't?
That's true. Well, no, who plays StarCraft does not get salty, but this should be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to seeing their games. I think we've had some powerhouse matches coming up here. These guys are definitely... with all due respect, probably the underdogs in this side of the bracket, but it should be fun.
Yeah, a lot of people's eyes right now on Cyril and Raynor, especially. I think you could safely say that whichever one of those guys gets out is predicted to get very deep, particularly Cyril. But Terran versus Protoss, I think a great matchup. HeroMarine's been getting up the hype. We've been giving him that hype. He's been one of the people to take maps off Cyril in Challenger as well.
Yeah, and HeroMarine is one of those guys that this year I definitely could be seeing qualifying for the global finals. He's currently in 9th place in the WCS circuit standing, so he needs more of those points. And I definitely, like I said, like he could have a huge performance there and really kind of try and start to secure his spot. I don't see him winning the whole thing, but he could definitely go far in this tournament.
Sorry, didn't mean to run over you there. I was just going to say, I feel like HeroMarine's a player who's still really developing. We're definitely not at his final form yet, so it's going to be cool to see how he performs here.
Yeah, and that issue of points becomes a little more interesting because Cyril has given that extra spot for WCS points because he's won 2 championships, and if he were to grab another one here, even if HeroMarine didn't get any further, it's like staying in 9th place, like, oh, suddenly I am qualifying by being in 9th place, so it's not as big of a deal. But DnS is a player that we don't talk about as much. Todd, you're a little more familiar with him. We've seen him come play up on this big stage, but not the guy that gets this deep usually.
Yeah, I mean, he's very capable of it. He was like originally part of like the French Protoss alliance with T-Drogo and Lilbo. They were like living in a house together, and they really got so much better despite having fairly different styles. And I would say out of the 3, he was like the more slow and turtly player, but I feel like he's switching it up. I feel like these days he's playing a lot more aggressive than before, and that's because maybe he's trying to reinvent himself, or he's trying to maybe increase the success that he can get in his tournaments, and that makes, again, for a very interesting dynamic against somebody like HeroMarine.
He's been doing well in the group stages, but getting up to the round of 16 seems where he gets stopped, because you guys talked about it in the last tournament as well. How do you get over that mental block to be able to make it past this point? This is where you got to prove yourself. I guess we're gonna find out about that in a second. We do have the players to introduce on stage.
There's no time.
I'm the king of filling time. We got Smix on the stage to bring out our next 2 players.
Thank you very much, Nathanius. As Todd mentioned, this is the rematch of the WCS Austin round of 16. Back then, the Terran came out on top. We'll find out how it plays out this time. Please welcome up on stage. It is HeroMarine and DnS.
Good old Terran versus Protoss. Variety has been the name, or the game, I guess, here for this WCS round of 16 bracket. We've had such variance, and getting into that Terran versus Protoss, HeroMarine is a player that has been moving up in that hype. He is an extremely popular player in the European scene, as you're talking about, Tasteless. Very popular streamer, does very well in the numbers. He's on all the time.
I gotta say, if I'm these guys, even though this bracket is incredibly hard, if you look at the players that are still in it, I think you just take this one series at a time, right? Yeah. I mean, it's not just about who comes out on top here in Valencia. It is about those WCS points.
Actually, I talked to HeroMarine. That's exactly what he said. I asked him if he looked at his bracket and he thought like he could go far, and like he was already picturing his next match. He was like, no. It's like one match at a time, and he did ads. As long as I don't get Cyril, I think I'm all right.
Well...
and he's on his side of the bracket. It wouldn't be the next match. His next match would be either Uthermal or Snoots, which, by the way, it's great. We got another liquid team
Yeah,
kill in there.
that's
Just get it out of the way.
That's another sick match. This bracket has been awesome. Thoughts on Terran versus Protoss in general? How do you guys like it in the current meta? Do any of these maps that you think will be interesting for a best of 5 for TvP? Anything that jumps out to you?
I mean, I think that out of all the matchups, this seems to be the one where they both just tend to get an army and kind of clash into each other. There's not like a given defender or offender. There's chases that they can both do to each other. So there's a lot of different ways it can go.
Well, we're about to find out which ones will be coming out in this series. The match is ready. It's time for HeroMarine versus DnS.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this third game of the day. We have HeroMarine from Germany, the young upstart, finally starting to realize his potential, taking on the French Protoss player, DnS, still trying to find his way. This is a guy who we've seen qualify for these tournaments. We've seen him take on some of the best, but we've yet to see him really kind of take that next step. Rotterdam.
Yep, he has to make a deeper run, but to do that, he has to go through this man who's incredibly solid. Some German efficiency, you might say. It is HeroMarine.
The Porsche of StarCraft 2 players.
The Porsche?
A little 911, little coupe, you think?
More like a luxury car.
Look at those headlights.
I feel like he has more to offer than
More to
just
offer,
speed.
like a four-seater.
Yeah.
A little rare. Cayenne, if you will. All right, his opponent in the top left-hand side, it is the Frenchman, DnS. Sorry, that was a pretty good introduction, but let me do a little bit of a Maynard here. The Frenchman, DnS! So you surprised the Spain crowd with that one. They don't know what to do with it. They're like, Jeff's losing it back there.
That's the second introduction. We can't clap
You
twice.
don't clap twice. No. You only get one per game.
Now, I'm very excited for this best of 5. This is an interesting one in many ways. I think if you ask me straight up who you think takes it, I think a lot of the diehard fans are going to say HeroMarine takes this. And the main reason is just that DnS is not that he's not good enough to beat HeroMarine. He absolutely is good enough. It's just that DnS is more of a sloppy player. Like, things happen. He will lose probes at home, but at the same time kill a bunch of SCVs on the other side of the map. Focus more on offense and defense. HeroMarine is the opposite. He's solid. He's keeps the game very simple for himself. I think that's actually quite funny because when you think of newer players to StarCraft, right, people always try to take on like 7 or 8 tasks at once. They want to do everything. HeroMarine is the opposite. He is a very, very efficient player. Keeps the game simple. A simple drop. If he did X amount of damage and he knows he can finish it up with a follow-up push, he will execute that push very well and he will straight up end the game. And I think that's why DnS has to be very careful. That's where he really has to make sure that he gets that clean first 4.5, 5 minutes in the game, handles that first medevac well. Otherwise, these games can end in a very ugly manner because HeroMarine is so damn good in closing out games.
You know, almost the same idea, kind of put in a different way. I feel like HeroMarine is the kind of player where very often in order to beat him, you have to outplay him. You can't just get a cheeky one by. He doesn't take risks himself. He will do that harass you're talking about, but you don't see him like really put the game on the line with a really crazy all-in or something like that. You have to outplay him. And I feel like DnS stylistically is the kind of player where that's a bit of a wall for him. I think he does try to go for some of those kind of cheaper wins, those cheeky wins, that kind of stuff.
There you have it, Jeff. I mean, a 1 gate fast spent resonating glaive opening. This is not common at all.
No.
And now I'm starting to get a tiny bit worried. When are we going to see that robotics facility? And are we going to see it all? Because I think this is going to be a tech lab for Banshees. That's the only thing that makes sense to me. And if DnS decides to delay that robo a little bit longer, oh my goodness, that's 3 gates. That's one more than you normally see. I feel like HeroMarine is already reading this series very well. Of course, this doesn't mean that he's necessarily safe, right? You still have to worry about your depths on the other side of the map. But on paper, this is what you want as HeroMarine. You open Cloak Banshee, your opponent has no robo, cash money.
He's getting a Cyclone out, but there are no bunkers. There is no, tank yet. A little bit of his production is across the map. It is going to be that Banshee, so we're going to see a lot of adepts show up, and they're really powerful. It's going to be like, does the depot get up in time, that kind of thing, but even if it does, the natural's going to be torn asunder, so for right now, HeroMarine's about to face a really weird thing, but I do worry about that return damage. We see the robo being built by the Protoss, but even when that shows up, if you're making adept, cutting probes, maybe you just can't even take on the Banshee itself anyway.
Well, of course, it's not like you can recall those adepts to deal with the Banshees at home. These are not Stalkers. These are not Blink Stalkers. That's a good little scout by HeroMarine as well. That gives him
I think he just missed it.
Yes,
I mean, he knows now. He sees the 3 adepts. He's going to really figure out when more show up here in a second.
And he already saw that the shot was orange, which obviously means that the resonating glaze has finished up.
And he really saw that. Trust me, he's got great eyesight. Here comes the Adepts. They are showing up at the natural. The bunker just now going down, but that's not going to do it. You need to get to the high ground. There will be overwhelming Protoss force. The more that HeroMarine defends this, I actually think the worse it's going to get for him in a second. The Banshees are starting to show up. More Adepts coming in here.
Give up, HeroMarine. You got to deal with this. This is the right call.
Savvy choice. As we say that, of course, we're like, savvy choice. You're like, no, go in on this. He's going to lose that mine. That's a big part of the defense as well. Adepts should finish the shade. They're on top of the force. And it's starting to get weathered down a little bit. The tank on the high ground could be huge.
Now that first Banshee does show up, and this is that moment. Not a single stalker at the moment. Yeah, but at the cost of 11 SCVs, which feels a tiny bit painful. And this is the most painful thing, though. DnS doesn't have any stalkers. Where is he going to warp in those stalkers? He warped in more Adepts. That's cute and all, but he's going to end up losing a lot of probes at home.
Yep. Banshee just has such a huge high rate of fire. Stalkers chasing, they're now in the main base. There's the cloak, but there is a observer there, of course.
There's a second Banshee in the natural at this point.
Yeah, and this is a lot of damage. On top of a Protoss who's already cutting resources to try and get that attack out as well.
And this is exactly what I was talking about in the beginning of the game, right? DnS is the player that kills a lot of SCVs on the other side of the map, but he's going to lose a lot of probes at home. And I don't think that's the type of game he wants to play with HeroMarine, because you're going to face eventually a massive army of HeroMarine who does drop the 3rd CC in the main, which I actually think is kind of good news for DnS, all things considered. Because if you open up like this, you have nothing to really fight quick stim bio, and at least he doesn't have to worry about that now.
Now, a couple things if you're looking at this. DnS is up in workers, and just now that gateway does get spotted by the flying by Banshee. That's a huge pickup for HeroMarine. So it's not like, HeroMarine's just in the greenest of pastures and is absolutely going to win. He's got some work ahead of him. That is only just now the 3rd CC. If he already had that 3rd CC, the mules, the SCVs being reproduced, it would be a done deal. But HeroMarine is trying to kind of clamber back into this. It's just that, to Roddy's point, the army is so powerful.
Yep.
Look at that.
And there's a lot of DPS in those Banshees as well. And the biggest problem is that DNS's army is the opposite. It's not the Protoss army you want in this phase in the game. You're looking at a couple of Adepts. He's going to be forced to warp in more Adepts. The forges only now go down, so there are no 1-1 upgrades or something finishing up.
And even them going down now is actually a bad thing, all things considered, because he wants all hands on deck to defend against this. He's getting blinked, but that's not really going to help. And as Roddy said, he would have to warp in more Adepts. He's going to have to give up this 3rd. He's going to try to come over here, and maybe he just says it's do or die to defend this. He's kind of massing up outside. He's going to push in.
But he doesn't have enough stalkers. He can't deal with the Banshees. I mean, he brought SCVs as well, HeroMarine that is. And that is a call that I truly love. Guardian Shield means he's absolutely going to go for it. But can these Banshees actually go down? The tanks can just focus the stalkers, and then the Banshees will live, and HeroMarine should win game number 1.
I really liked the shade forward there. That is going to be GG. HeroMarine is going to take the first game. The shade was kind of cool to do what you can with that, but Roddy saw this coming ages ago. Even if you warp in more stalkers, they don't do well against the tanks and the Banshees. If you warp in just Adepts, they also can't deal with that composition. So it was kind of one of those interesting StarCraft moments where the damage was dealt. It was like a mortal wound. It was like, you're not dead now, but I'll come in and finish you off in about 2 minutes, and there's almost nothing you can do.
And don't forget that he did have that 3rd CC going up in the main base as well, right? This is not an all-in counterattack by HeroMarine where he has to win the game. No, this is HeroMarine analyzing what has been happening. Okay, you killed SCVs, but I killed probes, and you made a whole bunch of Adepts that don't skill very well against 3 Banshees. Love the fact that he brought the SCVs as well to repair those air units. And this is exactly where I was going in the beginning of that game. These are not the games that DnS has to play against HeroMarine to win this. You need to play the more boring style of Protoss, and that is sit at home, get those observers out, and deflect the harassment of HeroMarine, and then start running away with the game. Start harassing with a Prism when you already have powerful key units and upgrades going up. But getting those cheeky victories, like you said, it just doesn't get the job done against HeroMarine. He's too solid.
I think it's a stylistic issue. And when I think back to where HeroMarine did hit those kind of walls in the various different WCS stops and some of these other tournaments, I do think of players where it's exactly like you just said, because he's a little bit predictable. It's going to be that either Banshee or Medevac or some kind of harass stage. If you can deflect that, it's almost always followed up by Marine tank. That's just kind of the meta thing that some players are really not really breaking out of right now. And if you can deflect those 2 phases, I feel like you're far ahead enough of HeroMarine that you can then go on and to win the game. But like we've been kind of talking about, let's think about the battle strategy of DNS. Like, where do you go from there? If there's a medevac in your base, are you in a good situation either? I don't think so.
No, I'm with you. Even a mine drop and stuff is just so hard. A lot of those builds is like, yeah, you're going to deal damage, but you take even more damage. Now, this is getting very spicy early on. Lost and found. I see FCVs heading out. For now, this is, of course, HeroMarine.
One of the best foreign Terran players, wants you to remember him, and his opponents hoping to even the score on the top right-hand side. It's DnS.
Now, HeroMarine in general is not the type of Terran to proxy everything, right? The proxy barracks is, of course, that's a start. I mean, we already saw that SCV leave, and obviously a proxy Reaper, maybe even 2 Reapers, can start doing quite a bit of damage. But I don't believe he's the type of Terran that's also going to proxy the factory.
You don't think so?
No. He's going to build the factory at home. That's my HeroMarine.
You're probably right. Double gas here, though, so it'll be that factory and probably another starport behind that. This was the kind of play we were almost worried, if you want to put it that way, that we thought the Terran meta would shift to. It was not too long ago that in Korea, Europe, and America, we were seeing a lot of this proxy style stuff.
Real question to you right now, Jeff. If you're a Protoss, you scout this, do you build a Nexus?
Yeah, you know, that's what's so cool about this. Is I think Protoss has evolved to the point where they do actually do that, because again, to your point, the amount of Terrans that are like, no, you scouted it, this is it. I'm building everything, I'm going to one base all in. Those guys are a dime a dozen. I think they're really rare, but this still throws them off. They don't know if there is a factory out there. They don't know if it's... We've been seeing concussive shells. We've been seeing cloaked banshee. We've been seeing Hellion run-bys, everything.
Oh, I love this, though. So he is building the factory at home. Okay, DnS will find it.
Yeah.
That's a really good scout, though, because otherwise you're freaking paranoid, right? You're like, okay, he is going all out. So now I wonder, DnS, are you going to go Starport? I would love to see Starport. I think Starport is great here. And after that Starport, I think that's when you're going to go for the Nexus anyway, because you know the factory is at home.
Well, actually, as time goes on here and we don't see that second Nexus, by the way, that's where this becomes not troubling per se, but we do see DnS kind of thrown for a loop, thrown outside of what he wants to do.
So far, a really good micro on the probes, but did he not lose a single probe? Are you kidding me?
I don't think so.
Is that the scouting probe, maybe? No, that one is... Yeah, that's a scouting. That's amazing, by the way. Losing 0 probes against a proxy barracks of HeroMarine. Are you kidding me?
And there is that Stargate, as you asked.
I would have lost 5, Jeff. I'm not kidding.
Me like 30, by the way.
It's like you only have 23. That's not the point.
I build 7 one at a time until they die. It's amazing. The recall on that probe.
Oh my goodness.
That's a little bit cute. It's actually kind of bad. It is energy, right? That is a chronobus. But anyway, so we're not gonna go into that level. So there's the Nexus there, and there's the Stargate as you asked for. Now, Roddy, why did you like the Stargate in this position? Where do you go from here?
Because it gives you a better idea of what's the follow-up of HeroMarine as well, and Stargates are guaranteed damage. Oracles obviously will always get a couple SCVs and a great scout. And indeed, if you have to worry about a whole bunch of Cyclones, in my opinion, get a couple Phoenixes behind this. I think Phoenix Gateway is great against Cyclones as long as you have a better economy, which DnS obviously has right now and will have in the upcoming minutes as well, because his Nexus is hopefully on location, and the CC is in the main base.
3rd CC for HeroMarine, so he's just going to try and have a little bit of a defensive segment here, followed up by a huge mid-game economy. 2 of these guys showing up Cyclones and 2 more behind this. So it's going to be a question of, can the Oracle get any damage in, as Roddy was talking about, and then more importantly, get out of there. You don't want to be remaking Oracles, and you want to keep that scout to see what they're doing.
This is one of those moments where sometimes the bad play is the good play, and right now if he would just send that Oracle into the main mineral line and hope there is no mine, that would really pay off in a big way, because there is no mine. The only thing that there is are Cyclones that are out on position. They're over there on the low ground.
2 more.
If he goes straight... If he doesn't hesitate a second, don't worry about this mines. Yeah, there is 2 more Cyclones, but he can still do quite a bit of damage here.
It's so funny, though, right? Because to your point, bad play becomes good play, but these are like the top-tier non-Koreans, so the reform play is why you won't see that. And this Cyclone's going to be kind of cornered in here, actually, and with the lock-on...
at least... Ooh!
Yeah, that's a dead Oracle, excuse me.
That's why you should have suicided on the SCVs. Get at least 3 or 4.
Tell them afterwards. They're really upset. Couple more gateways here, and DnS is going to continue that kind of awkward play because, to be honest, one of the normal follow-ups is either going to be that Twilight Council or Robo or something, but he's just adding more gateways here.
Jeff, please tell me he's got a battery in the natural.
I wish to tell you that there is one.
So DnS, you just lost an Oracle. You know there are 4 Cyclones out.
Does he just die to 3CC and then just whatever the Terran made?
Well, it seems like HeroMarine is going to keep his Cyclones at home for now, so is getting away with this. But doing this with all without a battery,
Another
that seems
Oracle,
so
by the
crazy
way.
to me.
So this is the third Oracle in the game. DnS is making more units. To be fair, this is also kind of the DnS special. He is kind of in the European scene, that guy that just shows up at weird times with units, and you're like, you're not supposed to have that. And he's like, well, I do. Did I win? No, yes, I don't know.
No, you're right. That's why the bunker of HeroMarine is obviously a brilliant call as well. He's worried about the crazy potential aggression from DnS. Someone who likes to do builds like this is SOS, right? Where he just also makes 3-4 oracles. Now, DnS is transitioning behind this guy, so does he want to do damage here? Absolutely. Is this an all-in? No, it's not. But I do think you want to get something done because your tech is freaking late as a pro.
Well, I hear you, but I actually kind of like him playing this off of his image. I think HeroMarine, who plays a lot against DnS in the various tournaments and, of course, on ladder, sees this and says, there could be 7 gates behind this. This is what DnS does. But, in fact, we know it is that third nexus. It is tech. So as long as he sells really hard, hey, I'm attacking you, and HeroMarine bites it, it could be good.
But here's my problem with it, though, Jeff. Stim is almost done.
Yeah.
And you look at what does DnS have to fight Stimmed Bio right now? Actually, nothing, guys.
Is it not much?
No, it's nothing. None of his units are good against Stim Marines. If HeroMarine runs to the other side of the map with 20 Marines with Stim, you're going to need to rely on perfect force fields and probably a couple of shield batteries as well.
Little scientific experiment was just ran there. You cannot cast Revelation on something that has been stasis warded.
Today we learned.
Look at that.
Ravi has
Where are you, Fear Dragon?
Yeah, exactly.
Why didn't you tell us this before?
He just wasted. Oh my goodness. That happens to my oracles all
every
the
time.
Yep.
I feel like when I lose the first Oracle, I have that Protoss impulse where I'm like, make another one. I need reveal and stuff like that. And then if you make any more after that, but even that next one is like the Oracle of Shame. You're like, it's going to die. It's just insult to injury.
I mean, this is already 2 oracles going down for the cost of a single SCV at this point. What I think is really fun is that you're kidding me. That's 3 oracles going down. He didn't even get the mine, by the way, did he?
No.
The one mine, like how sick is that? Normally, at least the other oracle's like, I'll take you down for my friend, at least. You know, you activate Pulsar Beam and you take out all your anger on the oracle.
Like even worse than that, Kevin. He had Revelation on the Cyclones that then came over and killed him. It's like, I see those guys coming, but I feel like I've accepted this. Now, here's the thing that Kevin was talking about. It's a lot of Bioforce showing up. If you look at that army supply, it's about 20 up. Sometimes more, sometimes less.
He's going to need perfect voice fields. I mean, Stalkers are great and all, but Stalkers are good against small numbers of Bio. With 4 Marauders at a time. HeroMarine is reading this so well, by the way, because that's not common, that you see 4 Marauders at once being produced. That's 4 tech labs on barracks. Like, that's insane.
And it's feeding into the composition of the Protoss. Like, he is actually going a Sentry Stalker, which in and of itself is a weird comp. But if you're making Marauders, it becomes a phenomenal comp for the Terran player. They're really happy to see it.
Like if HeroMarine...
Oh my goodness.
He flies.
Whoa!
Blink,
are you going to do it?
I would blink now. Blink, blink, blink. Okay, he does blink.
Well,
I think that's one.
That could have been disastrous, so he loads up.
At least he can force field. Yeah. This is at least a position that obviously DnS can hold.
Picks off the Observer. Good blink there.
Yeah.
Dodges the Widow Mines. Falls back. I can't believe HeroMarine is trying to make that attack work through that area. It's not going to happen. And he is just kind of sharking around back and forth over here. Both players sitting on 3 bases. You look at that production tab, nobody's thinking about a 4th base for right now. They're just trying to gear up for this fight.
If you talk about things you can believe, I can't believe that Observer is still chilling there.
Oh, yeah.
That is giving DnS so much information.
It's a good one.
And I just used a little sound.
Takes its position. Starts to flower up here. Here come the Liberators. Still really fighting over this chasm between these bases.
There's a lot of... Are those all mines in the Metavex? Is that correct?
It's at least a lot of them. Maybe it is 6 or 7. He's dropping them on top of the army. Is this going to actually work? Widow Mines do not get any shots. Well, there's a shot, but it's mostly dodged. It's just that Bioforce is so strong. The energy off the sentries is getting lower. There's no more Guardian Shield.
He has a few more force fields. That's about it. HeroMarine is going to stim forward, and these Stalkers are simply no match for stimmed Bio. He's going to go all the way back into the natural, but there's no shield batteries to fall back on. That Immortal will never see the light of day. And
Maybe he doesn't want to, Kevin, to be fair.
Nah, I wouldn't want either.
It's like, no, I'll stay inside this robe. That's totally fine.
If I would have to pop into 7 Marauders, I'm staying at home. GG, HeroMarine takes the 2-0 lead in very clean fashion.
The GG in a pause, something I haven't seen since Avalo tried to qualify through the WCS Challenger system. Nicely done by HeroMarine. It's a 2-0 in quick fashion, and he is... It's like a race to see who's more dominant here, Raynor versus Special or HeroMarine versus DnS so far.
Well, this is... I think game 1 of Reign vs. Special was still going on at this point. It's so funny though, because DnS is so freaking good. He really has some amazing online results, but like you said, this can very well be just a stylistic issue.
Yes.
And there are so many Terrans out there that would struggle and would hate playing against DnS. But HeroMarine, and you know HeroMarine as well. I mean, if you talk about confidence, HeroMarine, he's up there, guys. Like your Lambos, your HeroMarines, those are players that truly believe in themselves. And I don't believe that HeroMarine is sweating it for a single second in this best of 5. He knows he's going to win it. He knows what's going to happen. And so far, it is happening in that way.
Yeah, so DnS here on screen, of course, had a night to kind of prepare for this, has had a great tournament so far, and like Kevin said, is a very good Protoss. Again, one of those guys we talk about in the European scene. But unfortunately for him, the kind of typecasting that's happening right now is he is that gateway. It's the round of 16, it's the round of 32. Nice job, pat on the back. You had a good showing, but then you face one of these guys that just seems to be destined for deeper rounds, and that is HeroMarine right now. It's only been this last year, I would say. Before this, HeroMarine was kind of in the DnS position where we're like, hey, this is a young guy, he shows up to Home Story Cup, he does well, but he's not really a good, he's not gonna get to the round of 4, he's not gonna make it deep. And just this year has really hit that next gear and shown that he is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, it wasn't too long ago, he was the guy taking maps off of Serral and giving us great series there as well.
Going back to this game on Lost and Found, do you think if HeroMarine has no bunker in the natural, the DnS does actually commit?
Yeah, I think he shows up, maybe casts a Revelation, pokes back and forth, sees only the 4 or so Cyclones and a couple Marines, and says, yeah, I'm going to go in on this.
Yeah.
But what's funny about that, Kevin, is that behind that, ironically, he wasn't positioned to capitalize. Like, he would go in on it, do a little bit of damage to your point, but he didn't have any Warp Prism or any Pylon nearby, nothing to really pour it on.
Alrighty, game 3 already of this round of 16 matchup between these two European titans. Over here on the south side of Dreamcatcher, we're looking at the main base of our German Terran, Big Gabe.
So funny, Kevin, because I think back to you and I commentating at a lot of these WCS events, and I was like, all right, I'm casting with Roddy, it's one of my favorites. You and I cast more like 3-0, 12-minute matches I've ever seen, but let's see if he can make a show of it over here in the top left-hand side on Dreamcatcher. It's the Red Protoss, DnS. And he's got some work ahead of him, falling 0-2 here so far. But as Roddy said, he's got the tools. It's just a stylistic thing maybe, but can he recalibrate inside of this best of 5 and say, all right, we're going to play a macro game?
You know what I would love? Like, if I go back to that previous game, right? DnS going for the 3 gateways and the double, even triple Oracle, technically, after losing the first one. That kind of stuff is not bad, and that obviously allows him to skip the battery in his natural against the Cyclones. But if you do that, even if you see the bunker, Jeff, you gotta go for it. Either you run past that bunker, you want to do economic damage, you want to pick off units, you want to reset the army count, because DnS did that and he made all those oracles, he went up to 3 bases, it means that his real tech, as I always call it, something that can fight Stim Bio, is just too freaking late. You simply cannot stay on 3 gates, Stargate, walk around with those units for a while and be like, well, I guess I'll throw down the Twilight and transition, because that's not how this matchup works. Whether Stim is done or no Stim changes everything, and if Stim is done, Protoss has plenty of tools to deal with Stim, don't get me wrong. But you need one of them. If you have none of them, those are fights you simply cannot win.
And, kind of more on your point, unfortunately, to pile on here a little bit, he saw the barracks floating across the map. He saw Cyclones as the de facto, this is going to be my anti-air. He scares them into the front of his natural and then doesn't even check to see if he can get the Cyclones into the main or something like that to get that econ damage, which, again, maybe you don't do in an equal game, but at that point, he has to know he's a little bit behind, and you got to start taking risks or something. You got to look aggressively as opposed to, I'm behind, HeroMarine's strong, okay, I'll just go back home.
And to give some credit to HeroMarine as well, we look at that position, we're like, man, are you really trying to hammer it through here? Through the rocks, through all those force fields, but HeroMarine just know eventually he's going to run out of force fields, and if we fight straight up, these Stalkers are no match for my bio units. That was cute, by the way, how he avoided that shot with the SCV.
Only to pop out and still be cute. This is nice.
Yep, and he saves everything. I mean, doesn't take a single loss, almost gets the adapt. He gets the adapt. Well done. HeroMarine is just on point at this point. Interesting opening, by the way. It's a Turax, so he's going to go for a very quick stim. He's like, seems like you like to delay whatever it is that deals with stim units. Well, what if I open 2-1-1? It's funny, by the way, that Big Gabe does this, because a while ago he did this build against me, and I was like, I was like 2-on-1 against Mia. Gabe, can you have me, you know, picking on an old man? And then, you know, obviously in Big Gabe fashion, he's like, it's not a real build. I would never do that against good players. He's like, I did that to give you a chance. It's not my fault you couldn't defeat it.
Of course he said that. And here he is on stage for several $1,000.
Yep.
Tournament life on the line. He's like, you know what? Let's do it again. Not a real build, by the way. He's going to scout out a lot of stuff and be very happy. From this perspective, excuse me, I think he even sees a Stargate, which is exactly what you want to see when you're going 2-on-1 or 2-on-1 like this. With that quick stim. The other thing here, too, is DnS has been going for a really fast third Nexus. Now it all of a sudden becomes up to DnS. Get in there. Get in the base. He doesn't do it. There's the revelation.
Okay, that's good. So now
he has to know not to take a third Nexus.
Yep, you take all your gases. For my part, you open up 2 base Colossus, right? You just kind of sit there. You get a couple Phoenix if you want. But you want to get a Robo Bay, throw down a Forge, and get Colossus. But if you rush up to 3 bases at this point, HeroMarine is going to pick you apart. He's going to have so many units, and he's really going to hit you where it hurts the most.
Well, we can see here that so far DnS is making that right call. I do like the couple of Phoenix. Are they going to be able to chase down and murder a pack of Medivacs? No, but they'll stop them from running rampant. They'll kind of spot, they'll soften them up, a couple of soccer shots, and all of a sudden they go down. And then that Robo, and there's a Robo base, so I'll tell you what, Roddy, you're pretty darn good at this game of StarCraft. He sees it. There's the Warp Prism, actually.
That's nice, though, because if the 60 Marines do get loaded in, like right now, he obviously cannot build a Disruptor or a Colossus, so you may as well get that Prism out. And it's very nice to even just get a couple of Gateway units into the Terran main base, because, I mean, Bio units are fantastic, but you really have to babysit them as a Terran, right? You don't want to look away while your Marines are fighting maybe in range of a Guardian Shield or Shield Battery, and Zealots are on top of them. No, you need to micro them, you need to look at them. So then obviously if Protoss is able to squeeze in just a couple units, those few units, even if they're slow Gateway units, can deal a lot of economic damage. So I think it's a very cute move.
And here we go. These revealed Medivacs are going to make their way to the middle of the map. There is just the 3 Phoenix. They need to buy some time, though, by the way.
It's really good play. HeroMarine just knows that the Phoenixes are coming for it, so he starts unloading. But it's still good that DnS shows those Phoenixes there, because this slows the push down and buys time for his Colossus.
And he needs that Colossus. If he doesn't slow this down and these Marines just go across the map, there's actually going to be a really scary moment there for DnS. But because he's buying so much time here, I think we can confidently say that 1 Colossus at least will be out. Now keep your eye on that production tab, because behind this, the Terran doesn't add a 3rd CC in the next, I would say, minute or 2. You're looking at a 2-base all-in, which is where we do get into that weird territory for HeroMarine, where I'm like, this is not your strength. This is not where you're the best.
This is a sick map for tanks, though, right? Especially where DnS now is taking his 3rd base. If you put tanks on the right side of that latch, that is so freaking painful to engage in. Now, of course, he does have Phoenixes, so maybe you could lift a couple of those tanks if that ever happens, but it's a very painful moment.
Oh, the force field's... Okay, he just almost got locked in with that Colossus, but he's able to back up. And now it becomes actually HeroMarine that's buying some time as well, which is kind of cool.
Did he miss that with the Phoenix? He did miss it. Uh-oh. This can actually do a lot of damage. These 60 Marines can kill probes so damn quickly in the main base. And then at the same time, he can actually take a lot of losses. He could potentially lose that Nexus. This is a sick move by HeroMarine.
Is there energy to recall in?
I mean, what are you going to do? Recall that closely? He's going to lose, like... Okay, that's really good timing on the Colossus.
Oracle has some energy, can help out this fight as well. And all of a sudden, everything Kevin talked about is true, but this could fire back on HeroMarine. He's going to go ahead and fight at that mineral line.
Still a great throw.
Oh, the force fields grab most of the Bioforce.
Okay.
And now with the depth to insulate this army, he's pretty powerful.
DnS, you gotta go right now. You want to clean this up. You took economic damage. You're obviously winning when it comes to the army. Don't let this army go home. You gotta chase it down.
Pick him up.
Yeah, he's got Phoenixes chasing it as well. I feel like he wasted slightly too much time there, but he should still be able to get at least something out of this, right?
No, man, those Medivacs got boosters, dude. They hit the NOS. Inside there is...
it's Vin Diesel?
It's Vin Diesel.
Unbelievable.
I'm gonna hit it again. Jacks the NOS. He knows what to do.
Doesn't matter if you survive with 10 tanks or 1. Surviving is surviving.
It's all about family. It's a lot of adepts, though, by the way. The Colossus are, like, really scary. Kevin, get yourself together. The adepts can shade on top of this. It's kind of a weird army, right? Like, all of a sudden...
That's such a Vin Diesel thing to say.
I know.
I mean, DnS is not gonna get... I don't...
That's a lot of adepts.
Would you do it?
Yes.
I mean, he doesn't have a Twilight or a Force, so I guess he kind of has to. It's going to use the Phoenix as well to lift the tanks.
Picks up the tanks. The fight's going on here. The SCVs are getting
mowed
down in droves.
The Liberators are the big problem here, Jeff. He has no anti-air.
Snuck in a couple of Liberators. Only adepts there. And the Colossus do survive, but the supply tells the tale. HeroMarine up 30 supply here. He is only up a little bit in workers, which means his army's a lot stronger.
Yep.
But behind this, DnS wasn't really making probes. It was a bit of an all-in.
And he still doesn't have, like I said, a Twilight or a Forge. So this is not something where it's easy to transition out of it. Wow.
God.
HeroMarine has no respect.
Big Gabe's feeling it.
Yeah.
You load up 3 medevacs right now?
He's feisty, Jeff. He's
Holy
feisty.
cow.
He's probably thinking this base is saturated. He's going to see it. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Right, that's actually painful. He's going to lose a Colossus, I think. Maybe both of them almost immediately. That's just so freaking painful.
And that should do it. HeroMarine's going to tap into this base, destroy the army, destroy the base, and that's it. 3-0 in favor of Big Gabe, as poor DnS has been sacrificed to the young German Terran god. And I'll tell you what, Roddy, I don't know. I don't have that much to say, but I mean, that was just a very clean. We kind of talked about the style of HeroMarine. Poor DnS tried some weird stuff, and it just didn't work out.
Big Gabe having different openings as well, making it kind of hard to figure out exactly, what is happening at home. Just a very, very good series by a German Terran who picks up a lot of very valuable WCS points. I mean, he's doing great in those rankings. Yeah. He's been vocal about it. He wants to go to BlizzCon, and he just took a major step.
Well, hey, not bad. We had fun. Hopefully you guys did as well. But I want to hear from Big Gabe on that stage with Sue.
Thank you very much, In Control. Congratulations, HeroMarine. It's feeling like deja vu here. Back-to-back quarterfinals at a WCS event. Back-to-back 3-0 wins over DnS. So what's going through your head right now?
At first, when I played him on Austin, I was like, it's kind of scary, a good European Protoss. I was feeling good at TvP at that point, but now I'm feeling even more confident in that matchup. So it gave me a lot of confidence coming into that match.
And speaking of confidence, throughout this entire event, you've been doing so well. You topped both your groups in group stages 2 and 3, and now you're starting the playoffs with a 3-0. So moving forward, how do you feel about your condition just overall at this event?
On this tournament, I focus to not specifically prepare something for Sarah. So I pretty much have stuff prepared for anyone else. And since I'm facing Sarah most likely in the semifinals, if I can make it there, I'm already satisfied about that. So yeah, I think my chances in this tournament are pretty okay for semifinals, but the next round is going to be, pretty weird.
And speaking of that next round, it's going to be one of 2 Liquid players. And fun fact, you have a winning record against both of them. It's either Thermal or Snoot. So what do you think about the 2 of them?
I think Thermal right now is doing actually really well. I've always had that feeling, but I think now it's the time he can really show off his skill. For Snoot, recently it's been doing pretty okay, but for Snoot that's normally not enough. So therefore, I think I feel more comfortable against a Snoot that's just like solid than a Thermal that I think is doing pretty well right now. And also against Snoot for TVZ, I have something really nice prepared. It's going to be a lot of fun if I can play a TVZ on stage.
That sounds great. Big Gabe, congratulations again. We'll see which opponent you face, as that is the match that is coming up next. Nathanias, let's head back to you.
Thank you very much, Smix. And Big Gabe wrecking some Protoss here on the stage. Really good gameplay, good unit control, defense as well, and just a awesome series to be able to watch, guys.
It's kind of crazy. I thought it was going to be a little bit closer. I thought it was going to be a little bit longer, but when you just watch the way HeroMarine engages, like this fight right here, I thought it was going to be a little bit closer than that, but then when the Phoenixes drop everything, nope.
I actually thought DnS was going to win this fight here.
Yeah, same.
And do well, but
we're kind of freaking out backstage.
Picking up tanks, those Liberators can kill a lot of stuff on the ground, too.
There was so many adepts, but they just kind of evaporated, and HeroMarine is just too solid. I was watching DnS practice with Clem earlier, and he was doing really well. So going into this matchup, I thought it was going to be close, and maybe DnS was going to be able to do well. No, shut down completely by HeroMarine, who's now, in recent tournaments, 6-0 with Austin and this tournament together against DnS, looking very strong against Protoss.
Yeah, really good play out of HeroMarine, and his hype train kind of rolling along.
And very important win for him as well. He was heading into this match in 9th position in those WCS circuit standings. Now he earns himself more points and a chance to earn even more later on in the tournament tomorrow. So HeroMarine at BlizzCon at the global finals, the dream's alive. It could happen, and I think that'd be really a cool story.
And I think it's also important to note, we were bringing this up earlier, but take it one game at a time.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what he's got to do. But the next challenge coming up here is going to be bigger and bigger. Ultimately, if he keeps moving on, I mean, this is a pretty insane side of the bracket.
Yeah, we can see it updated now. HeroMarine saying he's really hoping he can get to play a Terran versus Zerg on stage, but Euthermal going up against Snoot in the next match. Euthermal has been playing very well this weekend, and I think that next series we're really going to see sparks fly. Do you guys think HeroMarine will get that TVZ he's looking for?
He might. I don't know. Euthermal's looking pretty good, though. Yeah.
He's
He's looking better than normal for sure.
I feel like whichever matchup we get, though, we don't mind. HeroMarine, great matchup. Snoot, HeroMarine, great matchup as well.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll have a fun build versus Zerg, and if we get to TvT, Cyclone Wars can also be fun. That is our
favorite
next match. Nothing better than Cyclones shooting each other. My next match is going to be Euthermal versus Snoot.
In the Nate Show.
Yeah, TVZ. Hey, man, we don't normally get this many Terrans playing in the run of 16 at WCS. So normally it's just special trying to win. And Euthermal's like, I'm not sure how I'm feeling. And then he loses, but he's been playing really well. And HeroMarine also, a lot of really good Terran gameplay. You guys, any thoughts on that match coming up?
I think it's like kind of like the usual, I feel like Euthermal this tournament has been doing a little bit better overall, but Snoot, you should never count him out in this kind of tournament. And it should be pretty even between both of them. They always bring good games, so I'm excited. You talk about Terrans, but there is actually quite a few of them that still have to play after this. There's still Clem and Kelazor as well. Even though he's playing against Haz, which Autosys has predicted will make top 4.
That's right.
Which is never going to happen.
Well, we all know Haas probably the guy that'll win this whole tournament, right, guys, based on Artosis' prediction. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Coming up next, Terran versus Zerg. Team Liquid, Team Kill. It's going to be Euthermal versus Snoot. You're watching the World Championship Series.